a couple things from my side. I actually have some things to report.
Ooh, I know Model Match. I read that.
Yeah, thoughts on that?
No, it looks actually good. The only thing, and I'm not saying we were going that way, even in your document of is because you listed we'll call them the other benchmarks, leaderboards, how they're created, and they use their mathematics for how like that doing it. That's where I think we should be different in the fact that we should almost use case studies. Like we'll have set articles, the same article for version one for doing summarization. And so for version one, we'd have these 10 articles. We give them to every LLM that we do a benchmark on this. And that way we can apples to apples. Did you do better at a summarization than this other one? Did you forget a fact? Did make a fact up? Those kind of things like that. And then if we track by versions, this would allow us to evolve and never get caught by and if it happens, this will be a good thing, but they're fine-tuning models to do well against benchmarks. But in real life, they suffer. This is why it's like you'll see models hit in local llama where they're praising the benchmarks initially because those are always released first. And then a week later, people get their hands on the model and they're like, this thing's stupid. It's like,
Yeah,
and this will prevent that because we will actually use, if this is what you do with a model, this is how it will behave firsthand. We won't rely on math.
100%. So, um, I think we're both, and I'll flesh this out in the document a little bit more. I think we're both 100% aligned that our thing is going to have more subjectivity to it. And
Yep.
that's where these other people are getting hung up is they're trying to make a completely objective benchmark for a human subjective,
Yes.
thing, you know?
Yeah, it's like this model does 88.4 and then this new one does 88.7. So it's obviously better, but both of them sucked in the end.
Right. And so that's going to be the core of our thing
Yep.
for the reason that I think just philosophically brain drive and you and I are aligned around we don't need to be religious. There's gray here, there's
Yep.
middle, and like what we're just trying to do is get to the best. How do we make it easy to build, control, and benefit from your own AI system? Sometimes that's going to be completely objective stuff. Sometimes it's going to be completely subjective stuff. Sometimes it's going to be somewhere in the middle.
Yep.
So that's number one. Number two, I think where we're completely aligned on, and this was your whole thing, is this is going to make for great content marketing
Yep.
and news jacking, as I like to call it, or
Yeah.
people like to call it, where anytime a new model comes out, we know people are going to be searching for it, and we can be top of the search results with our videos and articles and email newsletter. Like this is like I'm all in on that to the point that I'm just like all the ideas that I have around there's so many different ideas for
Yep.
content marketing here, but I'm like, this is the thing that I love about this is it's something that we can systematize,
Yes.
and
Yes. We
just
have a
we can
process.
really get amazing at it. Like as soon as something's released, like we're on it, we're the first people up with a video, we've run it through our case studies, here it is, and
And
all
they
of
can't,
that.
yeah, exactly. And each one of those could be automated workflows.
Yeah.
I mean, completely down to even because once we establish that, hey, here's for version one, I'm just throwing numbers out there. Here's our 10 articles that we're going to summarize. And we already know what each summarization should have in it. So our evaluation model that determines everything, it can take just the summarize and going, hey, check boxes. Do you have all of these facts?
Well, and this is where I was going next is this is where I think some of the automation comes in,
Hmm.
right? And I don't think we'll know until we actually set it up, but how close can we get to replacing a human actually going through and putting the prompts
Yep.
in and looking at it and giving it a score with an LLM?
I think we can get pretty close. I mean, I would always want human, as with any piece of content, human eyes at some point, like, kind of like that. But there's really nothing stopping from, hey, I'm going to push 100 articles through. It's going to do it for me. I'm going to keep a log of all the summarization that went to it. We're going to track the facts because once you get down to the summarization, you got all the fluff out. and all of a sudden it gets easier to work with that. And hey, these are the facts that were outlined. Now let's compare it to a fact list we know that matches with this article. And then it gets really quick for even the LLM, and that's when the human steps in to go, okay, you know, our initial model, this is how it performed, and then our evaluation model, making sure that okay, it didn't screw up along the ways, and that's when prompt magic comes out. It comes in handy. But we could fine tune from a let's do it a human doing it the first time, ironing out the process so we have the a
Yeah,
template. Yep, and then we start building scripts. So, okay, we'll take the human out of doing the initial 100, then we can take a look at the next part, take the human out of
right.
that,
It's a
and that way.
completely human process, but it's a process that we
Yeah,
then put in. And maybe it's like, hey, the LLM nails this 100% of the time, steps, 1, 2, 5, and 7, but we need the human on the other. Okay, so just put a human in the loop, right?
yep.
But that's also something I feel like we can have an intern,
Yeah, oh yeah, no,
you know.
definitely. That does not take a rocket scientist to evaluate results, whether it was good or bad.
So yeah, I think we're aligned. Yeah, 100%. In terms of the other benchmarks, though, like I think we automate this as well. We scrape,
Yep,
where we're allowed to, pull in benchmark data and especially pull in, and we don't need to just take the conversations and put them on our site, like
yep,
actually link to the
yep.
thread in Local Llama where people are talking about this and aggregate all the different little places where, because that's what's happening right now, right? Is people are
Yes, yep.
talking about this stuff like in chat rooms and on Reddit and on Twitter and blah, 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 right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. And going from what you said exactly is like we don't need to. We'll do both. We're not going to sit here and say we did these guys as benchmark, but here are the numbers right offhand, so you can read them.
Yeah.
Um, and here's a link to where the numbers are if you want to go take a look yourself.
Yeah.
So it keeps everyone. We're not stealing anybody's content like that. This is just hey, a one stop source. So you just go through, and
Yeah.
once somebody checks the link twice, they'll be done checking. They'll be like, okay, you guys did my homework for me.
Yeah. 100%. And yeah, I mean, Fit Small Business was basically like the same two or three article types from when we started it until when I sold it. It
Yep.
was like buyer's guides and step-by-step how-to guides. You know
Yep.
what I mean? So, and that's the balance of these things is, you have to find something that can be put into a process, but
Mhm.
there's still enough subjectivity into it that no one, not just anyone can just take your process and do it,
Yep.
right? And ironically, as AI can do more and more of this stuff,
Mm.
it's going to be the human element of this. And so,
Yes.
and I've, when we talked a lot about this from a content marketing standpoint before, which is just being a real live human
Mhm.
on a video, you
Yep.
know what I mean? Maybe the
Is
competitive
the, if
differentiator.
I say is the difference
Yeah.
between the other guys.
Right. And
And
and ironically, the better that cloning technology gets, it may actually make the human more and more and more valuable because
yeah.
everyone can do the clone. And there's going to be technologies, even when we're indistinguishable from the clone to digitally sign it and blah blah blah.
And then
Right.
it'll get to the point where it'll be like the small errors that are made in a real live video with a human being are
Yeah.
what people are looking for
Yeah.
because that's the human. It's like because they make mistakes too. They
Yeah.
want to see somebody make a mistake. So, oh, I'm just like him. I'm not, I'm this
Yeah.
AI trying to be perfect. And I
And I
think this is
think we're in. Sorry, go ahead.
okay. And this is where we'll get away from Google or have to worry about Google in the fact that our content will be basically a plane crash because the model gets released, that's the plane crash. And AIs don't keep up with in the moment news. So it's like as soon as the model hits, we run it through our system, we post it, we're first or really or close to first. And that's not that, that's organic right there because the fact that the AI is not trying to figure out how to make a pizza, which people have been doing since the 1600s.
Yeah. All right. um, Yeah, I think I'll adjust the document
Mm,
accordingly, but we're already aligned
yeah.
around all that.